everybody. This is Mortgage Ballers. My name is Rich Hanlin, and today I have Lindsey Miller with me. She is coming in. Lindsey, are you in Colorado?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee, so just south of Nashville.
Ooh, I didn't know that. For some reason, I thought you were one of my Colorado people. You're actually close to me then, because I'm in Suwanee, Georgia, but I'm, what, is it 3 hours to Nashville for me?
Yeah, it's about 3 hours to Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay. And you're actually in Nashville? Like you're downtown, you're singing songs? What are we talking about here?
So we're about 45 minutes south of Nashville. So
All right.
we did the downtown life for a while, and it's not conducive with children. So, but it's fun.
Fair enough. True story. I think is it called, I'm going to say it wrong. You'll know. A huge hotel. It's like Disneyland with a roof on it. Is it called the
Opryland?
Yeah, Opryland, Gaylord Perry Opryland or something. I don't know it. I was like, I went there for a convention and I literally got lost.
Yeah. It's like the Mall of
felt-
America. They say it's like, it's got the big open corridor and it's supposed to be fun. But yeah, Gaylord Opryland.
Yeah, people think I'm crazy. I'm like, Google this thing. It's literally as big as Disneyland, but with a roof on it. And I got lost and I had to put my face in front of the camera. And I'm saying, help me, help me. Like everything was red carpets and white. And I somehow got into the corridors where all the events happen.
Yeah.
And it was 10 o'clock and there wasn't a soul around. I'm like, I finally just sat down in front of the camera until someone came and got me because I was lost. I could not figure out how to get out of that place.
Yeah,
I was scared.
It's huge. So for Christmas, they decorate it. It's like Biltmore. Everything gets covered, and
it's the biggest place I've ever been to.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Well, right on. Thanks for joining me today. I picked you up after the weekend on a Monday after you've been going 100 miles an hour, and today we just want to get to know you a little bit better. I want to know you more as a loan originator. I also want to know what you like to do when you're not originating. I want people to know who Lindsey Miller is. So you good with that? You good for me to start just hitting you up over and over?
Right, rock and roll.
Right on. I like it. I like it. I like it. How long you been doing lending? How long you been doing this crazy business?
A little over 4 years. So.
Wow. Okay.
In the COVID era is what I call it.
All right. All right. What did you do before that?
So I worked in operations. So kind of similar. I did a lot of coordinating, mostly after someone paid for either a service or something from us. It was mainly like I made sure everything got completed. So I had a little bit of the heavier side. It was less on the sales, but financing has always been kind of my background. Math is my love. So that's why when I looked into it, I was like, this is my wheelhouse.
I like it. Now I see the email. Are you part of a team?
I
am. Or are you just all by yourself?
Nope. So I'm with the Legacy Lending team. They are out of Colorado. So that's kind of where it comes from. We've got people all over. We've got someone in South Carolina. We've got some in Colorado with me. So we got some in Texas. So
how big is that team now?
Oh my goodness. I think we're at like 11, 12. We started out, I think we were like 4 or 5. So.
No, it's one of our very successful teams. A lot of people really enjoy that team. You guys do a lot of stuff. And I know you have, what is it, weekly huddles? Is it twice a week or once a week?
Once a week. So on Wednesday, we do gratitude. We have to talk about something positive because we all know, in the lending world, there's not a ton of positive throughout the week sometimes.
Really? I don't understand that. No, I'm kidding.
So we always give gratitude to either someone or something that's doing well. We try to make our meetings, not just about lending. It's more strategy, mindset, keeping everybody kind of on the straight and narrow because we all need that, correction every once in a while. And so it's probably one of the best things about being on a team is literally just being able to see people's faces and share ideas and what's working, what's not working. So
okay. And it's very powerful to have people. I know that team, obviously Tyler and Quinn, we have and other people, but you get these people have been around a long time, but they 100% have sold out to, they know that if they do X, Y, Z consistently and do it well, that they will never work for somebody again for an hourly wage because they have learned the ability to create business and leverage their time and energy in a way that they are entrepreneurs just like yourself. And we become unhireable eventually because it's hard to go back to the other lifestyle. I'd rather go 3 months without anything and stay consistent because I know that boom, it's going to happen. I trust the process, and it's never let me down ever.
And we're not
All right.
reinventing the wheel. We
No.
know, again, like I kind of told myself when I started this, I was like, everybody goes through those cycles in life. And one of the main things is purchasing a home. And it's one of those things you want to make it as pleasant as possible because it's not something that everyone does every single year. And so I think with what they kind of strategize and put on us is that if we can make it memorable and if we can make it where again they're not just like going to their local bank and chatting with someone and not even knowing their name when they left, if we can put that impression on them and make them feel that kind of positive thing about being a homeowner, which nowadays is hard,
Yeah, it is.
it's one of the hardest things to tell people no when it comes to the homeownership, umbrella, and to be able to pass that on and go, hey, we're not reinventing the wheel, stay consistent, it's proven. It honestly shows. It has showed in my production. I was probably in 2022, I think I originated maybe 23 loans. Just because it was that really high market, and last year I think I finished at 45. So,
Nice.
which for almost double, it was a hard year, but it works. Staying consistent works.
45 loans, that means you are just outside the 50 mark. I
Mhm.
think it took 50 or more to be top 25. And we had a bunch of people literally that were within one or two of a whole year. Because eventually I just have to stop. But obviously you fall under what I call the best of the best. I mean, truthfully, our top 20% of our 600 plus originators do, and I shared with you, 85% of the total business of the company. They're all best of the best. But then eventually I have to cut it off and say, okay, there's 50, let's do 50 or higher. It's like, oh my gosh. But people are like, how far out was I? And I'm like, one.
That
I
always
hate you, Rich. I hate you.
Yeah, but it's a target. You always have to, I always tell Quinn on our team, he is always my target. I'm like, I will beat him one year, probably not, but he's always what I aim for on the numbers. So,
Good, good. I like it.
yeah.
And there's a lot of success on that team, which is incredible. So you have success fostering more success and things like that, which, people want to know the difference of a team versus doing it individually on an island. Like I tell people, just talk to somebody. It's hard going 100% by yourself if that's not what you're okay with. It helps to have a little bit of a cheerleader. It helps to have someone to cry on their shoulder. It helps to say, I have never heard this scenario before. Have you? And you're like, oh my God, I do those all the time. Like, what? And, there are strengths and weaknesses. And I'm surrounded by some incredible people that their strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. I have those people too. I actually talk to Tyler and Quinn all the time, even in my own stuff.
Yeah.
So they're very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
All right. I want to hear more. I want to get deeper. I want to pull on these things out of you. What's your favorite part? You kind of touched on it, but be specific. You wake up in the morning and you originate. You've gone from like 20 now up to 45. I get there's money involved. I get it's a very lucrative industry if you can figure it out, but it has to be more than just money. Where's your heart in all this? What do you want out of this? And it could be selfish reasons, and it doesn't make you a bad person. Um, First time home buyers, I like to see people in houses, but they're not my strong point. I'm great with investors who are buying. That's just become my strong point. But I've done everything. How about you? What do you like about it?
So in kind of like prior to the broker side, I was in direct lending and I loved hearing, again, you kind of see when you're in I want to say your like bubble before you start really talking to the public, you don't really get the impact that everyone has within financing and homeownership. And we would take, as you know, like in direct or retail, we get hammered with calls. It
Yeah,
is, if
all
you're
day
at
long.
100 a day, you're lucky. And to hear things every day where I was like, God, I would love to help you, but I can't. And I would love to help you, but no. That I would come home and it would be my one, if I ever had a complaint, it was like, I hate telling people no. It is so aggravating to have that like gut wrenching phone call and someone's laying out their financial situation and they're just looking for someone to help. Now, being on the broker side, my biggest love is that like I talk to someone on the phone and I go, yeah, of course. Absolutely. I'll figure it out. We'll get something done. That to me like makes me wake up every day, makes me turn on my computer. I love to answer emails. I love when I get, someone started an application in your email because I'm like one more person that I can complete something for that they've probably tried it with their bank or probably called three other, local people and they're like, "Well, maybe," but and I'm not a maybe person. I'm like a hey, yes, we can do it or no. I've really gotten into a lot of the new construction, uh, more like people that are self building, or here in Tennessee, we have a lot of people. The dream is to buy acreage and build a forever home or build a family compound, which isn't easy to finance. And I've kind of found my
Correct.
avenue, and I've also found my people to be in touch with that can help along the way and that know it's not like a simple process. And that's like one of my favorite things is to hear when people go like, "Oh my gosh, we broke ground. Oh my gosh, we get to do this." And that's kind of my other push is I love talking to people about it's like, yeah, you and everybody else wants to buy land and actually do it, but the people that pull the trigger have that the biggest satisfaction. So that's probably one of my favorite parts about lending.
You said something there, and I keep hearing this repeating thing. And whether it's that loan officer or whether it's the buyer you're just talking about, I have a lot of people that call me that are like, "Hey, you know what I really want to do, Rich? I want to just buy X amount of land and I'd like to build 4 houses." And I'm like, "Cool, right on. Oh, I just need someone to lend me all the money to do it." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
just so you know that nobody's going to lend you the money to do what's underneath the dirt. You're going to have to figure that part out. Where they come in is for everything above, because guess what? There's no value in what's below versus what you're going to put into it. And most of the builders, that's where the separation starts to occur, is especially the big developers. Like a lot of money goes underneath the ground to get it set up before you ever put anything above. Um, and that's something I had to learn over time. But you have all these people with great ideas. They truly are great ideas and ambitions. I have loan officers, they all come in and go, "Oh, I want to do 45 loans a year." Gosh, what does it take to do 45 loans? And then they start to listen and they go, "Ooh, I didn't realize it was that hard to do 45 loans. That means I have to work 8 hours a day. I might have to do some open houses. I might have to do this, 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 and this." And they start pulling back and pulling back, but yet some move forward. And that's where that 20% do 80% of the business comes from. You have this huge separate, and it's true of real estate agents, right? Last year they said, of the people that have real estate licenses, like 28% actually did one transaction. We know that from the COVID years that just a few years ago, 2021, we had over 400, I think 423,000 licensees. As of this year, someone said we're down to like 93,000.
Yeah, it finally broke 100,000.
Wow. That's a lot of people that are maybe it shows that were they in it for the right reasons. The market's been tough, but a lot of people have never been part of a team or learned how to generate business, because once you learn to generate business, whether it's one a month, and that's all I tell people, we just got to figure out how to get you to one a month. And then we just turn the dial a little bit. Catherine Barnett, turn the dial, and now we go to two. If your ambition is only to do one loan a month, hey, more power to you. But I would think I say this, Lindsay, I shouldn't say that. I always think everybody's so ambitious they all want to do 100 deals a year, and they do if they're easy. That's the difference. Some people do 100 or 200 deals a year, and you're like, wow, they work really hard, and it's like, yeah, because you always have those people that just want something a little bit more, and once they hit that energy level on a daily basis, it's like they're already putting the energy in 8 hours a day. They just crank it up a little bit. The hard part's getting people to put the first 8 hours in. Um, Soapbox, shouldn't talk like that, but that's a
No,
big
but it's
difference.
true. I think a lot of people like when they start something, and I saw that on the team that I was in 2021. You could throw a piece of sand and hit somebody that wanted to refinance. But for someone to be able to like put the trust in you and execute it, most of the time those people that talk to those customers will never talk to that customer again, even though you completed the transaction. I feel like a lot of people they don't love it, and I think that's why they quit, because they're just like, oh, it's a job. this is not something that's a job because of every year. I always tell people it's like being a nurse or being a teacher or being something where it always evolves. And if you are not evolving with it, you are going to be, you're going to be left behind. Just like reading new rules, knowing your guidelines, finding out new ways to find people. Because that's the other thing with technology, with it shifting. It's not like you're going to walk in an open house and go, oh, hi, you've never talked to a lender before. We're going to take your application and do it right now. That doesn't happen. The amount of open houses I go to,
Really? It doesn't happen?
person, no, very rare. Out of the maybe 10 I go to, it's like I'll maybe have one person that's just like, hey, we were just driving by. Most people have talked to a lender, they're prepared, or their realtor, has given them somebody because they realize having strong people on their team is the way to go. But I feel like that's a lot of the failures that people have, is that if you are not passionate about it, if you would not sit down, it's like an attorney. If you would not sit down and read case law and read guidelines, you're not going to do well. And then not doing well doesn't feel good. And then you see everybody else succeeding. And so you quit. But people like me, it's like, okay, I did 45 last year. Okay, how do I get to 50? It's like you're ever evolving. And if you are not, you will be left behind. That is 100% in the loan office, even in real estate. Like realtors are, even if they've been in the game 25 years, 25 years ago is not now.
Yeah.
Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're going to be completely different people to sell to and what they want in a home versus a millennial or a boomer. And so I feel like that's another thing, is people are not willing to adjust the type of client they want to attract, because I think a lot of people just kind of, it falls into their lap and they go, oh, okay, I got this customer. Same thing like you were saying, you concentrate on investors. That was one of my biggest pushes last year. Probably about half of my business was investment.
Yeah, you're in great state for that.
Yeah, if you don't push yourself to say, hey, I'm going to talk to those investors. A lot of people think it's, they're intimidated by people. And it's like, yeah, but if you can show them the value of money, because that is what investors look like at it. It's not a home. It's not the emotional side of having a primary home. Investors go, how is it going to return? What is it going to look like? What am I spending my money on? And if you can show them that, that's a whole different client that people are like, oh, I would have never said that to somebody buying a primary home, or I would never have thought a way to address that. But it's really just who you're talking to. Knowing your audience is also a big thing. So,
yeah, 100% agree. I like it. Thank you for sharing that with me. I know that you know how to do loans. I know that you're successful at what you do. You are one of the best Xpert Home Lending. Out of over 600 loan originators, she's basically one of the top 20%. And it's very possible that it's if you take 25, you're actually probably one of the top 10%, right? Because it'd be 60. Yeah, you would have been in the top 10% of that, because I think you were literally like 55 overall. Saying that, there was like 20 people that all had the same amount of loans. So you can say they were all tied for 42 or something.
yeah.
But when you're not doing this, when you're not in loan mode, when you're not in real estate mode, because this does concentrate a huge amount of our time to do this. It's kind of like you're always on, but hey, who are you when you're not doing loans? I see a lot of pictures behind you on the wall. I mean, I'm assuming there's some family. Okay, how do you detach, and what do you like to do for hobbies, things like that?
So I would say, like, after being lender, I'm mom 100%. I've got a little, rambunctious, sassy 6-year-old. Um, she is, just like me, very artistic, loves to do fun things. My husband is very, like outdoorsy. He also loves a good garage and cars. And so she's kind of taken on that love. And so, yeah, it's definitely mom mode. She's in kindergarten, so we're trying to, really make that like staple, and she's kind of figuring out who she is. And we like to go and do things together. I mean, whether it literally just be like family time, bowling. We moved a lot of our family here, so my in-laws recently moved here, my parents have moved here.
From outside of Tennessee or somewhere
Yeah,
else?
so my in-laws were from Illinois, so they moved here. My parents lived in South Carolina for almost 30 years and then followed us here. So we try to spend as much time with them as possible. They're getting to that time where, they can move and groove now. So we want to spend, as much time as we can with them. And Tennessee is beautiful as far as being able to kind of get out, see things, experience just kind of nature as it is. We have lots of animals. We've got chickens and turkeys and dogs. And so it takes a lot of time to spend time with them. So
Are you on property out there? I
not so we're not like we don't have like acres and acres. Here it's a little more, I don't want to say like we don't live in like the neighborhood that has the HOA, and we're a little
okay.
more lax. And so we did chickens just because it was like we can't do grazing animals. So no goats, no cows. We have friends that have goats and cows and pigs and stuff. But they're just kind of I don't know, they get us out and moving, and they're an interesting little animal. And this year we added turkeys, so we'll
Wow.
see.
Okay.
So, yeah, we get lots of wildlife here. So
I've been a couple different places in Tennessee. I didn't realize I had to figure it out because I went to Nashville. And I said, "Oh, cool. I wonder what it's like to go to like University of Tennessee." And they're like, "Well, that's over on over here." And I'm like,
so
"Well,
yeah.
I'm already there, so it can't be that far." They're like, "Wait, it's just as far like to get here as it is to go." Oh, it's a really wide state, so depending on where you go to get there. Um, so it's very interesting, but it borders up on Georgia, but we can be up there. I've only really been to Nashville. I won't lie. I have not made it out of Nashville. I've been there twice now, and country music fan.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching all those people. And then, it's almost like Disneyland. There's so many people there.
Oh yeah. And
It's
they call
huge.
it Nash Vegas for a reason. It
Yes,
truly is.
yes.
They block off the streets. And yeah, fun fact, C borders 9 states. It's the
That
most in the
makes
country.
sense.
9 states. It's nuts. Like if you really think about it, like Arkansas, Mississippi, all the way around. So we
No, it
touched it.
does.
So
I
yeah.
have a lot of people that came from California. That's why we got licensed in that state because it's one of the places they were migrating to. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they're
You
like
don't
they
mind.
love it. All
Oh,
right, I thank you for sharing that with me. By the
yeah, of
way,
course.
all right, I'm going to ask you some deeper thoughts. I'm going to peel back those layers. How about, hmm, what's a lesson you learned the hard way, but you're really grateful for?
Oh. Okay, well, I remember I answered this in an interview. It was years. I mean, it might have been when I was originally starting in lending, and it was somebody had told me, or somebody had asked me, like, what's a strength or weakness that you have? And I said, yeah, really saying no is hard. I'm a yes person. I'm a people pleaser,
Yeah.
and one of the hardest, I will say professional lessons was a company that I worked with. It's probably been 10 years now. I was in apparel for 17 years. It was the longest I had worked in every kind of facet of apparel. So printing, manufacturing, that was my life. And it is much, I would say, like, it's very heavy on detail and production, timeline, that kind of realm. Not many things are. Manufacturing is something you have to keep on time. So I remember one of the hardest pills we ever had to swallow as a company was we had a large order. I think it was about 5,000 shirts, I want to say. And one of our printers, we sent garments to our printer, and no matter how many checks and balances we have as far as checking in the order, getting everything printed, making sure they're checking stuff in, checking the type of label, everything. We had placed the order for the garments with one of our large manufacturers. We had sent it to our printer, and it was the right color, and it was the wrong shirt. It's the wrong style that they had packed. Even though we had ordered the correct one and the system had the correct shirt, our printer checked in the wrong shirt. So we were going through, and the biggest, I want to say, like, bite that we had was that our customer had already gotten samples of the shirt and had picked the exact shirt that they wanted. So we
Oh
knew
no.
there was no way to pass off the bad shirt. So going through, they were sending over test sample pictures. They had started early in the morning because that's how production is. And after a meeting, they had sent a picture of the shirt. And we're like, that's not the right shirt. They were about 2,500, 3,000 prints in of $5,000 order. and they were the wrong shirts. We called them, we had them stop. We were like, wait a minute. Called our manufacturer. Hey, we ordered this, this item. They shipped the wrong shirts. They were like, oh, just ship it back. Well, you can't. Once ink is on a shirt, once it's done, once it's produced, us as a company, we didn't do anything wrong. We did every step that we could, but one of our trusted partners, again, they knew the error. They saw the error of their ways. They checked it in wrong. They had to kind of figure out a way to help us because it is ultimately our fault, our decision. It's our customer. They paid us. And so we didn't make any money on it. They didn't make any money on it. We returned what we could. We talked to the customer about what we could do with the produced shirts. So we sold them to that, basically at a discounted rate. But it was a very hard conversation talking to that printer and going, you can't point the finger, even though you're like, it's their fault. You are as angry as you can be, but ultimately at the end of the day, they're not talking to your customer. We talked to the customer. It was our person that put, the faith in us. And that has also kind of almost given me this, okay, we have a mistake. Let's kind of fix it and correct it without blowing up, getting mad, because there was nothing that we could have done. It would have not have helped anything. It would have destroyed our production relationship with them. And it was also on our shipper. We told them the exact same thing and they helped. But at the end of the day, the customer got what they wanted. No one really made any money on it, but it was a big lesson learned on everybody's side because we still had to do all of the work. We had to ship everything and produce everything else and ship everything back. So even if you don't go in the negative, I want to say even something like that still hurts because even though you do everything right, one wrong thing can make somebody, even just like the next time, almost double check your work and double, make sure, okay, are you sure it's right, even though you've learned your lesson. That's probably one of the hardest ones because it was one of those things you just had to kind of walk off and go, well, I did my best. Still wasn't right, but I did my best. And yeah, it's still kind of, it irks me to this day. It's one job I will never ever forget. I will never forget that phone call to that printer and being like, all right, we all failed. What can we do? But you have to learn. It's like, it's not brain surgery. You're not killing anybody. You're not helping anybody. You have to kind of bring things into perspective. And so that is one thing with a lot of other things that could aggravate me. You just kind of realize, okay, there's nothing I can do. Problem solve and move on.
Well, I'll share a little secret with you. Well, I run into people all the time say, I don't work for free, Rich. And I'm like, cool. How's that working for you?
Yeah.
I have done many loans for free. And by the way, for the record, I've actually paid money out of my pocket to close deals. Sometimes as much as $15,000, $20,000 to close a deal because I really screwed it up. I didn't lock it in on Friday. I come back Monday thinking, man, whoa, what the heck just happened? My customer thinks I locked in that rate. I tried to play the game a little bit to get just a little tiny, if I can just get $500 more, yeah, cost me 15, 20 grand. And write it out 2, 3 days later, and the market's getting worse. Guess how many times I've done that? I've done it once because I learned a good lesson. I lock and I sleep at night because I've learned that. People, I see it all the time. People are like, should we lock? Should we lock? The Feds are meeting. I'm like, lock it. I'm like, well, what if the rates go down? Good, take it to another lender. Right? I mean, what are they all going to tell you? No. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're taking it to another lender. Yeah, I'm going to need a 2-day extension because rates went down by a quarter. I'm going to do right by my client. Can we all just get 2 days? And I think the biggest thing for me is after 35 years, and you're going to start running this too, people count on us to do the right thing. People take me at my word, and I tell them my word is my handshake. I'm not, if I screw it up, that's on me, and I have done right by those people. But I'll tell you this, some of those very people that I was negative on have given me so much business. So I know by doing the right thing, it has excelled, because had I done the wrong things, I just can't get that rate. It's everybody else's fault. I've had people just deflect. And I'm like, you're in charge of the loan. And ultimately, if the loan doesn't go through and you give a pre-approval, it's on you. Don't give out pre-approvals that you can't back. That tells me a lot as well. When people say, oh man, I was pre-approved, I'm like, no, you weren't. If you're coming to me, you weren't pre-approved. Something's not right there.
Yeah.
Just crazy. But I love that you say that, because one of the secrets of my success is I will put people in homes. I will save people money, even if I don't make money. Loans, to me, I do enough loans. It's like cooking hot dogs. And they're like, well, Rich, I'm like, no, you're just a hot dog on the grill.
Yeah.
And this time I'm not going to make any money. But who knows? Tell people I did right by you. That's more to me than anything, because that's really all I take with me one day when I'm out of the industry. But I love that story. Well, here, let's do this one. I want to know more. I want to know more about you. What's a weird or an unexpected fact about you that most people don't know? I'm a bass fishing tournament. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'll tell you my funny thing that I've always kind of known since I was little, and it makes my daughter laugh, is I'm pretty good at like impressions, like voice impressions. So I have a thing called voice nodules. If you notice,
All right.
most people will notice I have a much deeper voice than female. I am not in the soprano uh, octave. But one thing I learned when I was young is when I went to speech therapy was tongue control. And so it's also like I speak to a lot of like groups, and I coach. I do coach for my daughter's cheer and my daughter's soccer, and I'm quite loud, and it's been one of my things that has worked. But I do voices, like I can do Stitch, who is my daughter's favorite character, and it's
Like Lilo and Stitch, that
yeah.
kind of character. All right.
So I've just like, I have learned, because I've learned to listen to myself so well, I just kind of turn it on and I can turn it off, and I can do Chewbacca. I've done Daffy Duck, like little things that a lot of people, it's because I can hear it and I can repeat it. And it's always one of those things. I was like, if my husband and I used to live in Los Angeles, and I was like, if for what, one day we had a friend that was he was a voiceover actor. And I was like, if one day I just get bored, maybe that's what I'll go do. I'll go work for Pixar or something and be a voiceover, some kind of character voice actor. And it was one of those, it'll be back one day. But I don't have a sharp enough what do you call it? What do they call it? It's like pillar or something in my voice that I can't alter it. So
Okay.
that's one help.
Well, I'm going to take your word on that. I am not going to make you do Chewbacca. People are like, make her do it, make her do it. And I'm like, no, because there was a lady about 2 or 3 years ago. They had this stupid Chewbacca
The
mask that you could buy at Target, but if you talk through it, it would make the noise.
Yeah.
And she was laughing so hard, so it was Chewbacca laughing.
Yes.
And I was dying on this thing, and I thought, that is the best mask ever
Yes.
that someone had made. And I couldn't get one. I tried to go get one. My wife's like, you're not getting it. And I'm like, I will find it.
Yeah.
So I like it.
But yeah, I when she's grumpy and stuff, I'll do Stitch, like in her bed when I'm waking her up and stuff. So
that will come back to haunt her later in life when she gets older and she's like, don't do it, Mom.
No, I actually did it in her classroom for her birthday. They do a celebration, and I went in there and she said something. She goes, Mom, say happy birthday like Stitch. I was like, happy birthday. And so they're, I can do
There you go, people. She did it. I love that. That's awesome. My kids would have liked it if I could do different voices. That didn't work out good. That didn't work out good. I do like it.
I should do those little voice memos for kids. I could call them and tell them happy birthday from Stitch. So.
Oh, I think it's awesome. Let's see. We have a singer. We have a person that's a Rubik's Cube champion.
Something I can't.
I have a person that has a farm where they put they have 50 acres and they put the food out, and like people on their honor will pay for the food, like eggs and some different things that they do, and they just go out there once a week or whatever and do it. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. It's just a small community, but he's like, I'm amazed. Sometimes there's money, sometimes there's more money than I should. It just kind of works out. And I'm like, wow, I bet they're taking all the eggs right now. He goes, the eggs are in big demand right now.
That's one thing. I've got probably like 6 neighbors that are just like every week. It's every couple days. Do you have a dozen? Yeah. Come on over. So it's
my brother-in-law has laying chickens, I guess. I don't know what to call them. But I was amazed. I didn't realize I didn't know. I didn't know the eggs are different colors, different sizes. Sometimes they're not actually shaped like an egg. They're a little oblong. He's like, yeah, based on the type, but they're all the same on the inside. And I'm like, Cool. But they have eggs all the time. And they have like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. And now they have grandkids and they supply them all. They supply them all. All right. Here's going to be a good one for you. This is going to be a good one. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be? Got to go back. What's between your ears? And you're like, Rich, I'm not really that old. And I'm like, no, but there was a younger you at one time that was like really young.
Yeah. Honestly, now, because I mean, I'll be 38 this year. Ooh, like almost 40.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Honestly, I know. But when I was younger, I honestly wish that I would have. I think within my circle, all my friends were my age or slightly older. We didn't. I think like the millennial tone was just not like Gen X just wasn't our friends, and I wish I would have had like more close knit friends that were slightly older than I was, or quite older than I was for almost like just direction, guidance, keys to life, keys to, your parents, I feel like are almost so, there's such a distance in the age gap that, you listen to certain things. My parents are, my best friends, but there's only certain life lessons that you can learn from them before it becomes like parenting. I wish that I would have listened to people around me or found people around me that maybe were in that, whether they were where you wanted to go or whether they were where you wanted to avoid. Like, I wish I would have had that presence more in like a friendship group. I wish I would have listened to them more and just sat and go, how do I get to where you are? Tell me those things and those lessons that you have learned, because I feel like on the back end I like to do that and bestow that on my friends or even people that are, in my groups that are older than me that have a completely different view. I grew up in a military family. My father retired from the military after 37 years.
Wow.
And I was always kind of taught like we're kind of all the same, but we also all come from very different backgrounds. Like just be what do you call it? Accepting of people's backgrounds, but also that they have a lot to teach you, even though again, if that's not where you're going. So I feel like that's one of my bigger regrets. Or when I was younger, it was like, oh, I only want to hang out with people my age or my friends or, people in my circle. And I wish I would not have either shut out people that I should have maybe listened to or at least welcome people in and just be one of those, because it may have done more for them to talk to someone younger and go, I wish I would have done this. Or maybe it would have given them a little boost of like, somebody's asking me for my advice. Because sometimes I wish people would ask me for my advice being younger. So I think that would probably be my big thing. It's like at least sit down, listen more often than you talk, but also like ask for advice from people that again you probably would have never asked for advice from before. I feel like nowadays everybody's on social media and they have influencers and things like that. In the millennial age, we didn't have that. So our influencers were our best friends, were the people in our high schools, were, our coaches and things like that. And I feel like we don't have those open enough conversations anymore to like I don't want to say like the older generation doesn't necessarily want to bestow information on the younger generation as much as they wanted to on us. Like our parents taught us a lot. And now I feel like it's our turn to like push that over to, the 20 somethings, the teenagers that don't know necessarily what's coming down the road.
That's great. I have a lot of people say, Rich, tell us how you got to 600 people. And I'm like, well, to take you to that journey, I got to take you back to when I was just one, and then when
Yeah.
I became 10, and then how I lost everything and had to revamp. And, they think it's like this just straight upward trajectory. And I'm like, I lost everything in 2008, 2012. I went from being making $1 million a year with $1 million net worth. I took a job for $27,000 for USAA insurance, and my net worth got down to 70,000 because everything I had was tied into real estate, the company, and I learned a lot during that time. That's when I became a purchase-oriented loan originator. All I did was refis up to that point in time. And that was the kiss of death. I saw a few people around me and they're like, there's always purchases, Rich. Investors were out there buying when, the average person wasn't. And I revamped everything and I had to learn all those first time home buyer programs. And what you see today was that pivotal point when I was scared. I felt I let my whole family down. My wife's like, "Ooh, we can't do that again." Like that really hurt us. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to keep my licenses. I tried my heart. I became a stockbroker. I became insurance. I tried to work for a direct lender, and I saw the rates that we were pushing on people, and I'm like, I can't do this, man. I know there's like 3/4, 1% lower in rate on these first time home buyers. I'm telling people no, and I can't even tell them, hey, why don't you go talk to so and so? I know that they could get you.
Yeah.
Right? We weren't allowed to do that. When we had to make it sound like if we said no at B of A, no one could help you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that just wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that mean towards B of A. They had their own business model.
Yeah, sure.
But, there's no way I could do what I'm doing today without that past. But to your credit, what you said something, if you want to be something different, you have to find someone who's there where you're trying to go. And then it's okay to pay them or ask them, become friends with them. You don't ask the fat guy at the gym the best way to eat to become lean, right? Even though they may be the strongest, that's not the body you want. So why would you ask for that advice? You're going to ask the person, if you're going to go to the Olympics, Dan Martell talks about this, you're not going to hire someone who's a weekend warrior. You're going to hire someone who's been to the Olympics, right? That's the way our industry is. If you want to join in a group, doing it by yourself, the difference could be find someone who's where you want to be, whether that's one more loan a month and where you're at, to see what are they doing different, because it could be one small turn of the dial. But I will tell people this, if we're all going to be honest, careful what you ask for. Some people say, oh God, I want to have this blessed life. And then I'm like, well, what would happen if God answered your prayer and gave you that blessed life? Because if it's just the money side you want, well, I can show you how to make more money, but you're going to spend more time away from your daughter. There's going to be a cost to what you're asking for. So careful what you ask for, because everybody's at different places in their life. My kids are grown up. I can do stuff a little different. But my kids were 6 once too. And I was trying to balance all that. And I could tell you I did doing open houses. There's some things I was missing that if I could go back, I'd rather not miss. And I know that we talk about that with my sons. They're like, well, I wish we could have done more of this. And I'm like, well, there was no book. there was no book telling me what to do. I just knew I didn't want to live in poverty and follow in the footsteps, because my parents were great at working. They're fantastic workers. And they instilled that on me, especially my mom. But the goal was you get on with the company, you work there 25 years. And that's what I thought people did. Real estate, how does that work? I never knew anything about real estate until I just kind of fell into it. So interesting. I'm good in math too, just so you know.
Yeah.
I was horrible at talking to people, but I was good at doing the math. The math side of lending made sense.
Yeah.
I had to learn the people side, especially the stressed out people. Like when you got to bring problems to them, hey, this is what you want. I can get you 80% of what you want. And then we can come back and try and get the other 20%. And now I talk to people differently because I've said the wrong things. I've got my fingers crushed enough. I know what not to say, and I know what to say. So I love that. You're great insight that you're giving there. And that would be great advice to my younger self as well, hearing what you just said. Do you have any questions for me? I've been drilling you for a little bit here. And I know that caught you off guard, but I always want to make sure. Is there anything you want to know about me, about Xpert, about my hat? I don't know.
Well, about you. Well, one thing I always like to ask people that I feel like because it's not necessarily about like where you were.
Mm-hmm.
Who are your favorite like sports teams? Like where are you on the sports spectrum?
Thank you for asking. So I've always been I love players. and they could be in all different kinds of sports. But if I had to pick teams, one of my favorite teams over the years has been the Atlanta Braves. And now I live in Georgia, so it's nice. They're an hour drive for me. We go down, try and get to 6, 7, 8 games a year, easy in, easy out. But I really enjoy the Atlanta Braves. One thing I do like a lot that I started watching last year. I started watching more women's college basketball because the SEC is really big around here. And
Well, I'm a former Gamecock, so I can.
here we go. Here we go. No, that's fine with me. There were some incredible players that came out of that draft, and then I carried it over to watch them in women's basketball. And I went to a sold out arena where the Heat play here, and I watched an incredible basketball game. I said, "Wow, this is not what I remember 2 or 3 years ago. I would watch this." And then I actually, believe it or not, I do enjoy baseball, but I really like women's college baseball. I'm sorry, college softball. I mean, these girls hit home runs. I mean, the girl right now set the fastest pitch ever recorded like 2 weeks ago. And I'm watching these, like, they pitch. Pitching is a position. Like they're out there 3 games in a row. And I'm like, how do they do that? You couldn't ask any baseball player to throw that many innings. But the athleticism, and they solve it in about an hour, right? It's not 8 hours to sit there and watch a game. And these girls hit home runs, man. They're sliding, they're throwing. Um, I just really enjoy sports as a whole. And then when you build that level up and you get two top teams that come into town, you got number one against number five, you got Alabama versus UGA. I mean, heck, it don't get much better than that. So I enjoy college sports of any kind. But pro teams, I really enjoy the Atlanta Braves. And I will go watch a Falcons game right up to about the time that, they usually go 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. You guys got a team right there in Nashville.
Yeah.
And it's you guys have a little better team. I'm going to knock on wood.
Not this year.
And I've never seen that before. I went to Nashville and it was Sunday, and I'm like, who are all these people? They're like, Miami's in town. I'm like, all these people fly in.
Yeah.
And it's crazy down there, and they walk over the bridge to the game, and then they walk back, and it's just like, now that's like a tailgating all weekend type of thing. Like, wow, people will fly in for their favorite teams, and that's a great hub. Atlanta is a great hub. A lot of places can be gotten to very quickly within an hour, hour and a half, if you're a sports fan. But I will say opposite. I used to love the Dallas Cowboys back in the day when Tony Dorsett, Roger Staubach, you know, um, that was one of the larger in life teams. I did like Joe Montana when he was with the 49ers. Um, but he was a player, and then there were some players around him. But what I learned is one great player can change the trajectory of a team. So I do pay attention to the draft, because one player can make a huge difference and change a franchise. So I keep hoping, crossing my fingers, cross my heart. I keep watching Atlanta, and I'm watching the draft that's coming up, and I'm like, we just need one or two pivotal players, because at one time, hey, um, what was it? Mr. Vick was the quarterback, and hey, we made it all the way to the end. So they have the ability, and Georgia loves its sport, so they would rally behind that all day, all day long.
Yeah. That was one I always liked, when we would go to games at Williams-Brice and UGA fans, I was always like, they're the worst. They're so rude. But then you also kind of see it as they have to be proud, and they can't cower, because the teams that like nobody cares about are the ones that have no support, and they feel it. And you could feel, I remember going to a tailgate in LSU, and it's
good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is that they loved us. Like, they loved everybody there, but it was also because that's their hospitality is their way of life. And it was always like, oh, I would never go to a Georgia Tech game or a Georgia game in Georgia, because they hate us. But Georgia is very loyal to their team. So
I've never seen, I mean, I'm from California. I've never seen a state shut down, because it's UGA day, and it's either got all the flags, and it's like, where the hell is everybody? I mean, even high school football, is on Friday nights, and that's huge. And I didn't realize. I was looking around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like these top 10 teams in the nation, two of them are like right here in my backyard. I'm like,
The South.
wow, these are big programs.
Yeah.
And I realized these kids from all over the nation come to these schools prepping to hopefully get into UGA, but not all of them are going to make it. And then if something goes wrong and a quarterback goes back, boom, the guy that they had prepped went to Nebraska and had a great year last year. And I'm like, man, I just saw that kid. Now he's on the TV every Saturday for Nebraska. Um, I mean, I'm amazed at, things have changed. Would you have liked nil money when you played? Do you think you could have made a couple $1,000,000 off the sponsors?
Honestly, no. I don't think with as far as, and here's my stance on athletes. And just like I'll say, like I stand with Michael Jordan, if that makes sense. Uh you have to get to a point where you deserve it. Your name shouldn't make you the money, it should be your talent. 100%. And I feel like a lot of times, yes, sports is a career for people, but it's an aspiration, I feel like, for kids. For where I see it is like with high school to college, it's like a means to pay for something. Okay. Some kids would never get to go to college unless they had a scholarship. There's a million different financial situations for people. And I feel like that was kind of the first avenue is if you can play something and have a skill and succeed
Trade it
of
off.
your school, that should be your ultimate return. Then on the outside, if you just happen to make a career out of it, like thumbs up. Because there are kids that play 4 years. I mean, look at Tim Tebow. People are like, oh, he's going to be in the NFL for 25 years. Didn't happen. But he did what, for the University of Florida, what some kids will never do. No, some kids play football and no one will ever know their jersey number or their name. And they have more impact on the team than the quarterback or the running back. And I feel like now kids in college, well, I'll say athletes in college are more worried about the name on their back than they are about the number and the name on their chest. And that is 100% as like, I'm a loyal sports fan. I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm a Patriots fan. We get hammered with the,
Edit
oh,
that out, please.
you're the,
For the love of Jesus, edit that out.
it's like you're the bandwagon. You're the bandwagon. Just because you had a couple good years, but Tom Brady didn't go into it going, well, I'm Tom Brady. Ugh, he had to prove himself. Same thing like Michael Jordan. I mean, Nike didn't give him a deal. If you've ever watched like the interviews with him and like the conversations he had with his mom, he didn't have an agent like they do nowadays where it's like, oh, well, you're paying them this or no matter what. They had to maneuver that business strategy for him to make money again off his own name. But it wasn't just the name. If he didn't play like he did, no one would give a crap about a Nike Air Jordan. And I feel like nowadays it's like everybody's chasing that instead of let me make my legacy. They're worried about, okay, am I going to have a $10 million, deal when I go into the, NHL or MLB or NFL? And they're not worried about, hey, is this long term for me? Is it something where someone's going to remember how I played? That's just kind of, I feel like NIL just makes it muddy to where their target changes. And
Yeah,
it's
changed a
sad.
lot.
I feel like that's where athletes, like we see the demise of like a true athlete that like kids can really aspire to, because money is their main focus. It's not about being a good representation of the sport or the position that you play. And I don't know. I love college sports, like because I feel like you don't just get there by sitting on your butt. You've got to have talent in order for them to put you on, prime time on Saturday. But it hurts on the other side of seeing like, okay, they're more worried about making money than they are actually helping their team. So
I was amazed at some of the moves. Junior college, no, community college, those years no longer matter, and we're going to give you 5 years or whatever at the college level. And I'm thinking, good Lord, how old are these guys going to be? Because I'm already seeing fifth and sixth year seniors at UGA. The guy this year, he's 6'5" senior, and I'm like, good Lord, like you are a grown man. And that kid who's just turning 18, going to enter college, and he's good. But I'm like, you're almost going to walk into 2 or 3 years of just sitting around because the body development is huge. And that guy at 6'5" might not make big leagues, but he's a great college player hitting with a metal bat. And he's tearing up those 18 and 19-year-olds who are phenomenal athletes. But that is a grown man in his prime working back against a kid just coming into his prime. And now I haven't seen it so much on the softball field yet to see it, but I'm seeing it, and you're going to see it at the football level. I mean, you put 5, 6, 7 years of size on somebody, and they just want to kill the guy across from them. No wonder people are getting hit like they are. I would not play football today under that circumstance. I'd be afraid someone just rip my head off. I mean, the pads aren't strong enough for me.
Yeah.
Say it that way.
The caliber has
Gosh.
definitely changed. Yes.
It has. Well, there you have it, people. I mean, we pulled her out of the Nashville side. She's at the same time frame I'm on, which makes it easy versus I prefer. A minute there, I thought she was going to be in Colorado. I thought, wow, she's really doing something early with me. She's an early riser.
Yeah.
But nope, she's with me, same time frame, and we got her today. Miss Lindsey Miller. Lindsey, man, thanks so much for coming on and just sharing a little bit who you are, what you're about, a little bit about your background, a little bit about your hobbies, a little bit about that inflection in your voice where you can do so many different voices and might go for Pixar next year. I don't know. But I just want to say thank you for your time today, just coming on, letting us meet you a little bit.
Yeah, thank you as well.
Well, people, that's it. That's a wrap. That is Lindsey Miller of Xpert Home Lending. She is one of the best of the best, one of the top 50 at least out of 600 people in 2024. And if she hits 50 this year, which is probably similar, she'll probably fall in literally the next, what's the top 25 to the top 50 was literally like between 2 and 3 loans. That's how close that was. It's not like this huge variance. So congratulations. I think you had an incredible year, especially if you did 20 the year before, especially if you've only been in it 4 years. I ask people, what's your excuse? You might want to go listen to the interview with Lindsey because she's figuring something out. There's something different. Is it a team? Is it a mentality? Is it a combination? There's something different there. And my goal is to try and capture that so that people can come back, get to know you a little bit. But if somebody wanted to reach out to you, Lindsey, whether it's somebody who doesn't work at Xpert, maybe wants to talk to you, or borrowers that would love to work with you because you'll talk to them in different voices of their choice, take an application. So I don't know if they call that bilingual. It's because, is that considered, a Pixar lingual when you can do voices? But are you open for people to reach out to you should they need to or want to and get to work with you?
Yes.
All right. I'd like it.
I currently carry 10 different state licenses all over the Southeast. So I can help, people moving in, moving out. I'm not just Tennessee. But we are at thelegacylendingteam.com. We are all there. We've got licenses literally that cover a gamut.
The whole United States, probably.
Yeah, from coast to coast. So if it's not, me being able to help someone, we've definitely got somebody there.
Your team can. I like it. Thanks for sharing that. That's actually really important. That's the strength of a team concept. No matter what call she gets, there's somebody, if not her, that can back her up and allow her to be successful. And she's surrounding herself with people like that and a platform like that. So I appreciate you sharing that because it is a successful team. You guys have done really well with it.
We love it.
Well, there you have it, people. That is a wrap of Mortgage Ballers here. And my name is Rich Hanlin. And like we say every time we have an incredible interview, we say, stay thirsty, my friends. Thank you, Lindsey. I appreciate you doing that for me today.
Of course. Thank you. Right. I think this is so neat to because I love to hear other people's perspectives. Again, like let alone our key top people, even just people that are doing, just things maybe just a little bit different, even than if they aren't as heavy. It's amazing to see. I want to say like the professionalism that we have within Xpert. That's one thing I love. So
I appreciate it. Thanks for all you do for Xpert. I appreciate you putting your time. I know you can do work anywhere you want when you're doing 45 deals, but right now you're blessing Xpert. You're blessing my life. So I just want to say thank you.
Of course. Thanks.
All right. You have a good day and have a successful 2025.
Thank you. You too.